Hello everybody, welcome to Sensual Sense. I'm your host Al. Today we're going to be trying 3 fragrances from, let's say, the tribal line of Grandeur Elite. Okay, so we got Tribal Gold, which is inspired by Jean-Paul Gaultier's La Malle Elixir. We have Tribal Blue, which is inspired by Jean-Paul Gaultier's Ultramale. And then we have Tribal Intense, which is inspired by Jean-Paul Gaultier's Le Beau Le Parfum. Okay, so I do have some of the originals, but I think for this comparison, what I'm going to do is I'm going to compare them to what I think are their best compatriots in their division, you could say. So if they were fighting a boxing match, who would they be fighting for the championship, right? So we'll be going up against Rayhan Elixir. We have Tribal Blue. We'll be going up against Afnan's 9 p.m. Right? And we have Catalage Island going up against Tribal Intense. Okay. So why have I done it this way and not putting the originals in? Because for the simple reason is I'm about the budget brand, right? And you've all heard about this is that and this is that and everything else. So you've all heard of these by now, okay? Just like you've heard of the originals, but you've heard the comparisons to the original, and these are the best out there. So what I wanted to do was compare these to the best out there and tell you if they stand up or if they fall down. Okay, so anyways, first of all, we'll go right to left, right? So check out the sprayer first of all. 2 sprays will do. And the Rayhan, 2 sprays will do. Okay, so where do they both fall now? So, okay, so both of them, first of all, right, they smell very similar, right? There is a slight difference though. This one has a bit of mint in it. Now, the mint doesn't last overly long, but there is mint in the original. This one skips that, right? It's a slight bit of a twist. This one basically gets straight to the dry down of La Malle Elixir, whereas this one is kind of going through its paces. And as I said, the mint doesn't last long, but it is there. Yeah, then they're both very nice. Look, what they're copying or what they're duping is, it was probably fragrance of the year last year, and this one is absolutely, it's not miles above, but this one definitely performs much better than this. You get the 8 hours plus. We put a wee plus on that now. You get the 8 hours plus of this. You get about 6 hours of this. Right? They're both eau de parfums, so they're, but like as I said, there's just a slight difference in quality. So it depends on yourself now. If you want to get a slightly better performing fragrance, right, that gets straight to the La Malle Elixir dry down after only 2 or 3 minutes, then this is your one, right? If you want something that stays close to the original DNA, right, but doesn't perform as well, but it still performs, you're still going to get a solid 5 to 6 hours, maybe pushing 7 hours, spray a little bit extra, then this is your one. There's about 15, 20 quid in the difference between the 2 fragrances. That's where I stand on the 2 of them anyways. For me, it's worth actually having the 2 in my collection to compare it like that, And if someday I want La Malle Elixir and I want kind of the original and I want the mint, I got that. I can go to that if I want. If I'm only going down to the shops, that'll do me. But let's say I'm going to work or I'm going to be gone for most of the day. right? And I want Lamel elixir. I have that. So for me, right, yeah, I have the luxury of having both of them. Where you got to decide yourself is what you want the fragrance for. Do you want the fragrance for 3 or 4 hours down the pub or just heading off to the shops? Or do you want the fragrance to maybe last you for your shift at work or the whole night out? You know, that's kind of weird. Anyways, right. So that's tribal gold. What would I give it out of 10? I give it a 7.25. Give it a 7.25 out of 10. No, it's not bad. Next, right, we have one of the original clones, one of the oldest clones out there, and one of the ones that probably was maybe half the reason it started all off. Anyways, 9 p.m. Right, everybody knows this, and to be honest, I think there's a lot of you out there that probably have this somewhere in your collections. Anyways, we do the spritz test. We'd see now. Tribal blue. It's great. That's a fine spray. Does the trick. Spray than most designers, anyways. And Afnan, well, it should be something similar. Yeah. As I said, better than most designers. That now, this one thing I can say about Ultramale is it's filling up the room already. This is a strong fragrance. Strong fragrance, and both of them have the DNA of it. Yeah, both of them have the DNA of it. Like, I have to say, kind of like the previous two bottles, right? These are both starting off very, very similar. So, right, comparing it to Ultramale, right? So what is Ultramale? Ultramale starts off with a pear in the opening, so it does. And pear lavender, you get off the rip straight away. It works its way down to cinnamon, and then you have the vanilla ambery muddy base. Okay, so again, what this one has done now is this one has tried more so to copy Ultramale. All right, this one opens with an apple. This one opens with a pear. Now they both have the vanilla ambery and patchouli dry down, so they do, but this one is slightly more correct. This one smells slightly better with regards to Ultramale. Yeah, and there's also mint in it. There's also mint in that. You can get the mint, you can get the pear, right? This one has apple and no mint. Now they both dry down the same. So they do, and eventually they both become very similar and very close to Ultramale. But what I can say is the journey from this one to the dry down is more accurate than the journey from this one. Which is better? I don't know. I think that's for you to decide, because I have to say, no, this is very, very good, very, very popular, and very, very close. This one is just a little bit closer. I think, personally, if I was reaching for Ultramale, I would be reaching for this. Like, I think the apple, personally, is nicer than the pear. Personally speaking, I just think they probably went down a twist route here, right? And yeah, I think they succeeded. I honestly think they succeeded with 9 p.m. I think here, they nailed it. They absolutely nailed it. Why would I give this out of 10? I think this gets an 8 out of 10. This is close. Ultramate is not my favourite of all the Jean Paul Gaultiers, but I do like to it. But I go to it rarely. Absolutely rarely. This is very, very close. This is close. This is closer. Just my opinion. Just my opinion. So, yeah, gets an 8 out of 10. And finally, folks, we have the LeBeau comparison. Okay. So what we have here is we have Tribal Intense. And we go 3 this time. I like the coconut. Me likey. And we go 3 here. Oh, pressurized Tululu. Oh, that's so good. Like, as far as the bowl of parfum goes, this is the king at the moment. Right, is this any good? Right, so let's see now. Right, which one do I go for first? Okay. Now, initially, off the strip, right, what I will say is the cartilage definitely smells the best out of the two of them. The tribal intense doesn't smell bad at all, but it's just the cartilage island just smells more vibrant, more bright, more everything. It just really pops a lot, and the coconut in it is divine. This one just doesn't have the zing in it. It smells similar. But it doesn't have the zing. It doesn't have the pop. Like the coconut isn't a star. It's not as much of a star as it is in this. What we have here, right, is definitely by far and away one of the best Jean Paul Gaultier's Le Beau Le Parfum inspired by fragrances. Right. What we have here is a pretty good pretender to the throne. That's all. Right. We're talking about the king, we're talking about the jack here. It's not even second, I'd say. I think there's still better that second. Okay, so what would I give this out of 10? It's still great scent profile and everything else, but I give this probably a 7. So 7, this gets a 9 all day. This is a certified fucking banger. But you all know that anyways. So folks, that's my video on 3 tribal fragrances. So again, Tribal Gold 7 out of 10, Tribal Intense 7 out of 10. And if you want one of the best ultra males out there, Tribal Blue. Yeah, you got it. You got definitely one of the best. So definitely that is a keeper for me. Yeah, I'll go to that. If I want ultra male, yeah, I'll be going for the Tribal Blue. The other two now I do have better than them, so they're probably going to sit in the back somewhere. But as I say to you, yeah, still quality fragrances for the money that they are. Right? If you can get them a lot cheaper than the others, I think they're worth it. Right? You're not going to get any more than 6 hours out of these. I don't think. Right? Even with the scent profile of this now, you would think that it would get more. This is quite fresh. It is quite fresh. This one, yeah, definitely. I think this one's going to last all day. I do. There's a real quality difference now in nearly the 3 of these. That one definitely, it pops, it bangs. Yeah. So that's my video. I hope you liked it. And if you did, if you want to see more of these kind of, battler, these fragrances fighting it out with each other, yeah, just hit me up in the comments and let me know. Right, I'm your host Al, and you've been Sensual Sense. Until the next video, take care.